Hey everyone, welcome to TLB Station. Today we're going to learn how to implement dark mode on a web page using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Let's dive right in. First, create a checkbox input element and give it an ID of switch. Then we create a label element and set its for attribute to match the ID of the checkbox, which is a switch. This label will be the container for our toggler. Then we make a div element inside it that will act as the toggler and give it the class toggler. Then we will make the checkbox hidden. There's also a span with the class mode that will display either light or dark, depending on the mode. It will display light as it is the default mode. Now let's move to the CSS. We're using CSS variables to define the background and text colors. In the root, we define light mode colors, so we'll change these variables when the dark mode is activated. Next, we reset the default padding and margin for all elements by setting both padding and margin to 0. Now, let's set the background color and text color of the main elements using the CSS variables we defined earlier to ensure that these values can change dynamically when dark mode is activated. Then, we set the display to flex and give it the full height of the screen by setting height to 100% view height. This allows us to use a line item center to vertically center the content and justify content center to center it horizontally. Now we create a class called dark that will change the values of the CSS variables we defined earlier. When dark mode is activated, this class will adjust the background and text colors to suit the darker theme, and we can test it by adding the class dark to the body tag. And here it works. Next, we'll style the toggler container. We start by setting its width to 120 pixels and height to 60 pixels. Then, we give it a border radius of 60 pixels, and we set the background color to any color we want. Next, we style the toggler by setting its width and height to 50 pixels. Then, we give it a border radius of 50%, and we set the background color to a color that fits the light mode. Then we add a padding of 5 pixels for the toggler container and set display to flex to use a line item center to vertically center the toggler inside it. And we set the flex direction to column for the body to make the content vertically aligned in the page. And we add a gap of 10 pixels. Now we add a style rule to handle the toggler's appearance when the checkbox is checked. We use this selector to target the toggler inside the container when the checkbox is checked. We use transform translate x 60 pixels to move the toggler 60 pixels to the right when the dark mode is activated. We apply a half-second transition to all its properties to make the toggler's movement smooth. Or you can apply the transition specifically to the transform property only. I prefer it this way. Now we add a margin left of 5 pixels for the toggler to create some space between the toggler and the edge of the container. Next, we style the text to enhance its appearance. We set text transform to uppercase to make the text all capital letters and font weight to bold to make it bold. We can also change the font by using the font family property. Now we apply a white box shadow to the toggler with 10 pixel blur, and we can add another white shadow with a 20 pixel blur to enhance the glow effect. And we set its background to white for the dark mode. Also apply a half-second transition to the background color and the box shadow. And now it looks good. Moving on to the JavaScript to make the dark mood switch functional. First, we need to select the elements we'll be working with. We use getElementById to select the checkbox and store it in a variable called switch button. This will allow us to track its state. Next, we use querySelector to select the element with the class mode and store it in a variable called mode. This will allow us to update the mode text dynamically. Next, we add event_listener to the switch button to listen to its change and use an anonymous function for this event listener. Now we'll check if the switch button is checked or not using an if statement. If the checkbox is checked, we add the dark class to the body element. This will trigger the dark mode styles we set up earlier in the CSS. Now, in the else section of the if statement, We'll remove the dark class from the body element. We add a transition of 0.5 seconds for the background color of the body to ensure the background color changes smoothly when toggling between light and dark modes. And now we change the mode text to dark using inner text property when dark mode is active. And change it back to light in the else section for light mode. That's it for our dark mode implementation. Feel free to customize the styles and transitions to fit your design preferences. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more tutorials. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.